This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is Not America's Sweetheart, Davian. And
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Hello everyone, this is Patricia Ligaia. I am a Pinay wrestler and Pinay Wrestling Sweetheart, and this is my interview with Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today. The trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I'm, of course, your host, James J., and it's a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with Pinay Wrestling Sweetheart, Patricia Ligaia.
Hello, thank you for having me here. I'm looking forward to what we have to talk about today. Thanks for inviting me here, James.
Absolutely, the pleasure is all mine. Can you tell us where we can see the Sweetheart next, event-wise?
Okay, thank you for asking that. Well, currently, it's yet to be announced, so I'm looking forward to whatever matches I will have in the future. But if you would like to support Pinoy wrestling in general, or all my friends, like the Super Friends, you can watch them in DexCon's WrestleStorm 2, which is going to be in the Philippines on March 16. Please stay tuned, of course, for the online copies of whatever we will have in the event. But for now, if, for example, if you're in the area, if you're near Brawl Pit Bulusan, please come on down and visit and watch us on March 16, because my super friends are going to have a very, very exciting and explosive match.
Perfect. And where can we find you on social media and your merchandise?
For my social media handles, you can find me at Patricia Ligaia. Please don't forget the Ligaia is spelled as Ligaia. So it's Patricia Ligaia on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and sometimes I'm on Pinterest because I love looking at pretty pictures there. So come check out my social media accounts and come see where we'll be wrestling next.
I think you're the first person to promote their Pinterest on the show.
Yeah.
And you don't have to go looking for it. All of the links to all her social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox.
Thanks for that.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into it. You work for Puso Pro Wrestling. Can you tell us about your relationship with the company?
Yes, of course. So Puso Wrestling is actually a very, very young company. We started last year, late last year. And even though we are a very young company, we are filled with a lot of Pinoy wrestling veterans. That's what we call us in the Filipino pro wrestling industry, Pinoy wrestlers. And some of us have actually been working in the industry for more than 10 years. This is my second year in the industry, but I am learning a lot from those that have come before me. And currently, we have 5 active Pinay wrestlers in our company. So there's not a lot of female pro wrestlers yet in the Philippines, but hopefully there will be more. That's our main goal. And right now, I am just having a very, very good time learning about wrestling and being one of the Pinay wrestlers in the industry, because Puso Wrestling takes care of me very well.
And it's funny, you mentioned, that there's only 5 females. Funny enough, that's the most out of anywhere in that region.
Yeah, actually, in Southeast Asia, there aren't really a lot of female wrestlers compared to the male wrestlers. But thankfully, there have been trailblazers. Like, for example, in Singapore, we have Alexis Lee. She's been in the industry for a very, very long time. And even though there's not a lot of Pinay and female wrestlers in the region, you can for sure bet that there's a lot of quality in our wrestling because we train really, really hard. And even then, we still hope to elevate the scene further because at the end of the day, it's really just about having more and more female wrestlers, so we will continue to thrive as an industry.
And I mean, Fabio would be disappointed if you didn't.
Definitely. He's our head coach.
Yeah, and shout out to Alexis freaking Lee and Fabio, both friends of the show as well.
Yeah, and of course, you can't forget Crystal, who's been in the wrestling industry for so long as well. She's the first Pinay wrestler of the modern era of Pinoy wrestling. And really, a lot of the things that we can do now, especially me as someone who's been in the industry for just 2 years, I owe it a lot to those who have come before me. So I really, really appreciate and I'm grateful for what they've done so far.
Well, speaking of Crystal, obviously, you mentioned, unestablished names in the Philippines. You actually got to have a tag team match against her and Jamora. You teamed with Isaiah Valencia. Can you tell us about competing against Crystal?
Okay. Definitely, of course, there was a bit of a starstruck moment because I would say that a lot of the Pinay wrestlers now in my generation, we actually look up to her because she was, as mentioned, the first. And also, of course, there's this feeling of needing to win, needing to prove myself. Unfortunately, that didn't work out, but I would say that because of that much, and alongside the other matches that I've had so far, I come out stronger and I come out having this hunger to continue wrestling. Because at the end of the day, like, okay, I may have won, I may have lost now, I may be just in my second year, but who knows what will happen in the next months, right? In the next years. So, even though I lost, even though Jomar, who was my sworn enemy for a while, but now we're okay now. Even though I lost to him and Crystal, me and Isaiah lost to them, I think that still leaves more possibilities in the future that maybe I may be able to defeat them or, be in that level. But hopefully that will come at a time when I'm also very ready for that responsibility.
Well, you might have not, you may have not won the match, but there was a bit of controversy pertaining to Isaiah getting paid off or something like that.
You mean like the aftermath of the match, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, basically for those who may have not been able to see what had happened at the time, we won. Actually, I won in a battle royale, the Jun Capilos Jr. battle royale. I won against Jomar. And since it was like a last minute elimination because I was able to outsmart him, Jomar was really mad and he said that he should have been the one who won the prize money from that battle royale. So eventually, since he was mad and I also got mad in the process, I don't like it when people question, of course, my abilities. I think it comes with anyone, especially in the pro wrestling industry. But when that happened, he made a bet with me. He said that if you lose in the next match, I get to take the money, the prize money. And, Isaiah, he's kind of protective towards me. I don't exactly understand why, but at that moment, he kind of jumped in and said that he wanted to also be part of the fight. It kind of irritated me, to be honest. But since it was already there in front of our commissioner, Sonny Go, we said, okay, fine, let's have a match. And then commissioner said, okay, Jomar, you have to find a tag team partner. And I was really, really looking forward to still proving that I was the real winner, or at least that I could beat Jomar twice. But Jomar just pulled a wild card and called up Crystal, who was returning back to the industry. So, you know what happened next. And then I told Isaiah, since I was really heartbroken at the time because of the results, here, please give the money back to Jomar. And he ended up taking the money, buying us food, and then returning 20 pesos to Jomar. 20 pesos is like cents in dollars if my calculations are correct, because 60 pesos is like a dollar in American dollars. So you could imagine Jomar's anger, and he eventually just challenged Isaiah because that was out of my hands, and I also wanted to win the Puersang Pinay Gauntlet, which is like the biggest Pinay wrestling showcase of the Philippines at the time. So there's your quick rundown.
So basically, you're out of it. It's between Jamar and Isaiah now.
Yeah, they're big boys already. They can handle it.
But correct me if I'm wrong, but this is not the first time Isaiah has, I don't want to say stick his nose in your business, but kind of inject himself into your business?
Well, the thing is, like, Isaiah, him and me, and of course our other batchmates, because we actually entered the Pinoy wrestling industry all at the same time. We're kind of close in a way, but sometimes you have this feeling of, hey, I can protect myself. I can watch out for myself, and it kind of irritates me a little bit when he jumps in and he says, "Oh, you can't just fight Jomar alone. I have to be there." But thankfully, after he himself ate dirt during that tag team match, he got misted by Jomar. Jomar got that from Tajiri himself. He kind of backed down and realized that you're right. There are some battles that I also have to fight for myself, and thankfully, right now there's not a lot of conflict on that end, and he eventually understood that I can also handle things myself. But yes, you're right, it wasn't the first time.
Now, I think that's a good segue. You mentioned you won the Battle Royal, the Jun Capilos Jr., and I do hope that I'm pronouncing that correctly.
The Jun Capilos, yeah.
Thank you. You were the only woman in that match to compete in that Battle Royal, and you came out with the W. What did that mean to you to win that match?
Honestly, it was I would say that in a way it was a moment of realization that I was finally somewhere that I was working hard towards. Because honestly, even the fact that I was going to be competing with these guys, because for everyone's information, I actually started in the Pinoy wrestling industry as a correspondent. So I was the person who would interview these wrestlers, these athletes. So you had people like Sane, who was in the industry for 10 years, and Jomar has been in the industry for far, far longer than me. And to me, it was a moment of realization of both the honor of having to compete with them, but also the responsibility that, hey, I'm already in the industry as a wrestler, so I have to take things seriously. I have to take my well-being seriously, and I have to, for what the Gen Z people often say, I have to lock in. I have to lock in, and I have to work hard to also prove that I belong in this part of the industry. And of course, like, let's be honest, a lot of people question the fact that I won because as I mentioned, I came in last minute. But at the same time, I also just want to tell them that, hey, I was still there. I was still alive. I may not have been the person that you were rooting for at the time, but I beat Jomar fair and square. And Jomar himself has admitted that, after our whole fight about it. And what I just want to say after all of that is I want to continuously prove myself. Some people may still be questioning my win at that moment, but I will, and I want to continuously prove myself that I not only deserve to win that, but I also deserve to win the other matches I'll have later on. So yeah, and also fun fact, the Jun Capilos Jr. Battle Royale was named after the father of one of our fans, our loyal fans. So it was also just dedicated to him. So it's an honor that I won that match.
Hell yeah. You mentioned that you were the backstage interviewer, the correspondent.
Yeah.
You know, one might say that that is a job just as dangerous as being a pro wrestler, considering pro wrestling. What did you kind of learn at that time about pro wrestling, and what did you kind of take from it that you put into your pro wrestling?
Okay, well, this is kind of sneaky, so a lot of people might think, hey, that's very suspicious. But of course, in interviewing the wrestlers, I was able to, of course, figure out what kind of people they were. So there's that. But on a more, I would say, in a more technical, well, what's the right term? In a more, sige, let's use technical. In a more technical way, when applying it to my wrestling, I also saw that these people were hungry to win, and that drive that they had, that insistence to always prove themselves, I think that rubbed off onto me, because to also just add context to what was happening at the time, I was already trying to become a pro wrestler. But it took me almost 2 years to even debut in the ring because I wasn't physically fit enough. I couldn't consistently attend training. Of course, that was on me. But for context, I lived 4 hours away from our dojo at the time.
Oh, wow.
So it was, yes, definitely. It's a moment that I look back and think, I really did my best at the time with what I had. I was 4 hours away, and it came to the point that I was questioning if I still wanted to move on and move forward and become a pro wrestler, because let's admit it, pro wrestling requires a lot of effort, skill, and also time and money. So there was a lot of logistical concerns, and at the end of it all, before I actually debuted, I was crying on the bus going back to my hometown. I was crying because I was thinking, am I still gonna keep moving forward with this? But the thing is, especially in Puso wrestling, the Pinay wrestlers themselves, they are there. The mere fact that they're there, always cheering me on when I'm at my lowest, it inspires you to keep moving forward, to show people that I'm still here, and I'm really grateful to have that privilege of having a good support system in Puso wrestling. I don't think I would have even reached my debut if it wasn't for the people who continuously rooted for me and were patient in my training. So yeah, just I actually haven't mentioned that in a lot of interviews, that there were moments when I really didn't know if I could continue. But yeah, here I am. So
Yay.
right after the dark.
I almost never do this. But you know, when Fabio tells you, you know, you got the call up, you're going to have your first match. What did that moment mean to you?
Oh, that moment, can't even describe it, because I remember where I was. I was sitting in our dojo, and I found out that we were going to have our big event soon, because at the time in our former company, Noche Buena, that's the term, that's the name of the event. Noche Buena is a very specific tradition, Christmas tradition here in the Philippines. So when Fabio told me that I was gonna debut during that time, I was like, oh my God, is this finally happening? Oh no, I have to be responsible. Like I know it's such a funny way to approach things, to think about responsibility, but that's the thing. That's the thing that gets driven to you in the training culture of Puso. If you are given the opportunities that you have to also be responsible with the way you handle them. So at the time, I was just sitting on the floor and thinking, wow, this is a very, very joyful moment for me, but I'm also feeling a lot of pressure right now. And to also just add, that was the all women 4-way match of our company. and I was up against Pinay wrestlers who have been training for at least 1 year before me. So there was a lot of pressure, and it was the biggest show. I was thinking things like, I really hope that I can prove myself, but I was also thinking that, wow, there's gonna be like probably more than 100 people watching. So, there were a lot of things going on in my head, but after it all, when I finally stepped into the ring during my debut, everything just went quiet. I just locked in and I just focused on the match, on winning. And thankfully, even though I didn't win, it was a very, very fulfilling experience for me. And I still cry sometimes when I think about it, because after that, Super P had this speech about how Pinay wrestlers always have to do it ourselves, and in a way, it also resonated with me because I had to travel back and forth to my dojo. I had to train, even though I had zero background in sports, and not I'm not saying these things to perhaps just vent about them, but to also just show how much I related to what she said. Because I really admire Pinay wrestlers, and I really appreciate that you also asked me about this, about my debut.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was the four-way between Joya, Chelsea Marie, and Super B and yourself, no?
Yes, you're correct.
It did seem like, that wasn't just, your basic fatal four-way match. It did kind of seem like it was the coming out party for Pinoy women's wrestling as well.
Yes.
There was a lot of coverage on that. So, what did that kind of mean to you, especially considering it was your first match?
Yeah. Well, as you mentioned it yourself, right? There was a lot of coverage, and there was a lot of, I would say, history in that match as well. Just to also add context, Crystal herself was the one who announced that match. She was the one who called us up to the ring. And of course, as I've mentioned earlier, there was this feeling of joy in me when I found out that I was debuting in that match. But also, in a way, I guess, this isn't exactly the positive answer that a lot of people expect, but there's also this feeling of, do I really deserve this? Do I deserve to be where I am, considering that it's my first match, and as a Pinay wrestler, I'm so young in the industry, and suddenly I'm gonna compete in this very, very big match. So not only was there pressure on myself, there was also just the feeling of, am I worthy of being here? And I would say that a lot of wrestlers also have that feeling when given opportunities like I got. But after all of it, after all the noise, when the match was finally finished, I lost, by the way. I tapped out to Super P. After all of it, when I saw the way people were talking about it, for example, in our communities online, I had this feeling that I may not believe right now that I was worthy of it, but these people, they believe in me. I was actually approached by some people after the match. They told me it's not obvious that it was my first match, and it really meant a lot. It really means a lot to me when people support me, and I'm very grateful. At the end of the day, even though I felt so much pressure and anxiety from preparation, at the end of the day, I'm really grateful that I was given that opportunity, that Coach Fabio himself trusted me to fight in that match. And, I still look back and I still talk about it as my most memorable match for me. Even though it was my first match, it opened a lot of opportunities and doors for me. So, yeah, that's all I have to say about it.
Well, speaking of Super P, can you tell us about the Super Friends?
Well, the Super Friends, we are your resident superheroes in Pinoy wrestling. And we actually had our theme song come out on Valentine's Day. So that was a week ago, exactly a week ago. And it features, of course, us, the Super Friends, but also Bon from Shiftheads and the ghost of Kaibigang Aaron. Kaibigang Aaron, that's a very, very long story. But to focus on the Super Friends, we are, as I mentioned, a group in Puso Wrestling, and we fight for friendship, for love, and for justice. We are actually pretty young as well in the industry. As I mentioned, I'm in my second year. Super P is a few months ahead of me, and El Catipunero debuted in 2022. But I'm very proud of them. They're already fighting like tag team championship matches, and we're yet to win, of course, a championship in the tag team category. But I'm really rooting for them because I'm I would say that I'm the youngest, so I still have a lot to work on. But whenever I see my super friends fly in the ring, because as you can see, we're superheroes, so we're flying a lot. I get inspired to also train and to also fly in the ring. And one day, maybe one day, be able to do all the high flying moves that they're able to do. For now, I want to tell people to watch out because I am training really, really hard for that.
And of course, tag team gold. And when I did have Fabio on, he did mention that there will possibly be a women's title down the line as well. Obviously something you would be interested in, no?
Yes.
Now, the other person in that match, obviously you favor Super P, obviously tag team partner, faction mates, but maybe somebody you might not favor as much, and that is a one Chelsea Marie. Can you tell us about your relationship with her?
Well, Chelsea. Okay, here's what I have to say about Chelsea Marie. Chelsea, I think that with all the Pinay wrestlers, we've gone through a lot. We've gone through the what Coach Fabio likes to say, the uphill battle of raising Pinoy wrestling to higher levels. And like because of that, I have a lot of respect for Chelsea. I admire that she was the first ever Southeast Asian pro wrestler trans woman. She's opened a lot of doors for women everywhere. And at the same time, there's just this feeling of heartbreak when I saw what she did because everyone has seen it. Everyone knows what she did. She betrayed Nigel San Jose and Fabio Makisig to side with MSG, and I really felt sad because she, like above all, as a super friend, I also very much value friendship and connections. And Chelsea was someone that I considered a friend, but unfortunately, in the Pinay, if you could see in the Persang Pinay Wrestling Gauntlet, Chelsea wasn't very fair. she she kind of used a lot of dirty tactics, especially when our referee Yappy wasn't looking, and of course it still hurts me because at the end of the day, Chelsea is someone that I not only respect but feel a lot of love for back then. I don't want to give any statements about the now, but I would still say though that in a weird twisted way. I'm still hoping that she'll see the light. She'll realize her actions. Cause hey, come on! Of all the people you're really gonna betray Nigel San Jose, the person who always roots for everyone, the person who's always just bringing action and like good vibes to the wrestling ring. But we all make our choices. Chelsea Marie, she made her own choice. She chose to side with Stancy and MSG. And at the end of the day, I can only hope that her choice works out for her, because that's a really, really bold choice to make.
I think that's the nicest anybody's mentioned about Chelsea so far. We've had some unfavorable opinions on her.
Yeah, I can imagine. Especially like I know you interviewed Nigel Sanose and Fabio Makisig, right?
Yes.
I'm sure they have a lot to say about Chelsea Marie.
Oh yeah. Fabio would rather wrestle a Rock than Chelsea at this point.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I feel the rage.
And Roxy from Dubai, she was not too favorable of Chelsea as either. So, her heat is global at this point.
Well, they did face off against each other in the Porsang Pinay Gauntlet. So, looks like Chelsea has made a few enemies internationally.
Oh yeah. But you mentioned, the gauntlet match, which was refereed by Yappy.
Yes.
Obviously, Pinoy legend, well-known established name in Japan. I believe Ice Ribbon.
Yes.
What did it I mean, she was the referee, but what did it kind of mean to you to be in the ring with Yappy?
Ooh, okay. It's a lot of emotions to unpack with that one. Well, to start off, a lot of people might already know this, but one of the reasons why I actually pursued pro wrestling and one of the people who actually inspired me to continue my training was Yappy. Because for just to give like a more personal explanation to all of it, Yappy was the one who told me to go for it. Those are her exact words. Go for it. When I told her that I was training to be a pro wrestler during 2023, because at the time that was that moment when I was finally I was almost near that part of myself where that was gonna accept the fact that I was never gonna be a wrestler. But then when Yappy talked about how she was past the age of Joshi's when she debuted. That was actually the retirement age of Joshi's in Japan when she debuted. And when she talked about how she also had a very difficult time, she didn't know if she was gonna be a pro wrestler, and she was basically working really really hard to even debut in Ice Ribbon. That to me was like this sign that I wasn't the only person going through those things. I wasn't the only person having thoughts of quitting, but wanting to push forward. And when Yappy went down from the ring, because they were having the interview with the press conference at the time for that event, when she went down, I told her, Yappy, I heard about your story. I feel so inspired, and I'm also training to be a pro wrestler. She said, go for it. And even though those were just 3 words, that actually fueled me to keep going. And I kept thinking, the next time Yappy comes back, I want to tell her how much she inspired me. And I want to tell her that, Yappy, I'm going to debut, I'm going to be a pro wrestler. And sure enough, that moment when I was going to announce to the people watching that I was going to be a pro wrestler, she was the person I was interviewing. So she beat me to it. She actually said, hey, I heard about this. I heard that you were going to debut in the all women 4-way match. And I said, yes, I am going to debut. And I don't know, the term for it in Filipino language, in Tagalog, is kilig. I felt this overall sense of giddiness. I felt so kilig when she said that. And just to fast forward to that, when I found out she was the referee, of course I was, once again, I'm using the word pressured. I was pressured. I felt, oh my god, my actual inspiration is gonna referee this match. But at the same time, when I was finally in that ring and I was fighting Chelsea Marie, and Chelsea was doing all these things, to kinda, let's face it, kinda cheat the system. I just thought, oh, you know what? Let's set these feelings aside. Let's lock in. Let's do our best. Let's fight Chelsea Marie. Let's try to push forward to the next round of the Pinay wrestling for some Pinay gauntlet. I lost again, unfortunately, but in that moment, you actually forget about all those fun, happy feelings. You just think, I have to win. I have to fight. And that's what happened. that's the progression of my feelings from happiness to just going back to pro wrestling essentially.
So it kind of sounds like it was a full circle moment, no?
Yeah, definitely. From inspiring me to refereeing my match.
Um, the one thing I found interesting is, Pinoy Wrestling kind of has the Young Lion program is basically the T-shirt, the colored T-shirt system.
Hmm.
Um, why was you not a part of the colored T-shirt system?
Okay. Well, I wasn't a part of the colored system, the colored shirt system. Actually, of all the Pinay wrestlers right now who debuted with our current roster, Super P and I never went through the colored shirt system. I would like to explain it in a way that it's because we were already in the industry. Like for example, Super P was already she came along with El Catipunero because even back then they were actually a very strong team already, even though El Catipunero was the only one who was wrestling. Me, on the other hand, I was already a correspondent. So I think it would have been weird. Like, I think it would have been funny as well, though. But it would have been weird if the people already knew me as the person interviewing everyone. And then I just debut one day in a pink shirt and people call me pink shirt. That would have been really, really funny. But with all these in mind, though, there are other Pinay wrestlers who have debuted as colored shirts. Like, for example, Joya started off as yellow shirt and Chelsea Marie started off as brown shirt. And honestly, though, like sometimes I think, oh, it would have been fun to go through that same system. But at the same time, I also have realized that even though I didn't go through that process, I still went through things that put a lot of pressure on me because when you're someone who's already established as a name, like I wouldn't say I had a really really big part in the industry, but my name was already out there. People
Right.
already knew who I was. There's this added pressure of, okay, people already know you. You don't have the privilege and you don't have the comfort of just being a shirt. Like there's nothing wrong with starting off as that, but you have to take this pressure of people already knowing who you are and to further show them what you can do. Because actually, Coach Fabio mentioned that to me. I asked him actually, I said, hey, am I gonna debut as a shirt? Because people already know who I am. And then he said, no. And that's why you have to keep this in mind. That's why you have to do well on your first match. People already know who you are, and people will be expecting more from you. And Coach Fabio has this weird way of like instilling like pressure on you so you would do well, but it works for me and it has worked for a lot of us. So when he said that, I was like, oh no, okay, gotta think about this now while I train for my debut. So yeah, that's why I didn't go through that system, and that's how it made me feel at the time.
I was gonna say, damn, Fabio, putting the pressure on her.
Yeah, Fabio doesn't really like go easy on anyone, which I think in a weird way is actually really really fair. He pressures the boys, he pressures us, and he makes sure that when he pressures you, he also equips you with the right amount of skill and right amount of power to push through that pressure. So I also respect him a lot for that.
Right, because, Pinoy Wrestling is still, on the newer side of things. So you kind of have to find out, who really wants it and, who's just kind of exploring it, so to speak.
Yeah. Definitely. A lot of people have entered the industry alongside me. Like I would say that I've actually gone through like 3 generations of the factory before I debuted. Maybe even more, because as I mentioned, like I wasn't able to continue like consistently. So when I left, when I came back, there were new faces every time. And the thing is, like, of course, with all due respect to those people, the retention rate is like 1 out of 10 people. Like that's how much dedication you have in order to stay in the industry. Because I think a lot of people have mentioned this in the past, that some people just enter wrestling thinking that it's going to be easy, that they're going to fulfill their dreams easily. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with dreaming about these things. But the reality that will often hit us when you get inside the ring for the first time during training is that it's never as easy as you think it is. And unfortunately, a lot of people, after 1 to 2 training sessions, they lose interest. And at the end of the day, those who are dedicated enough and those who are diligent enough to stick by, those are the ones who end up debuting and also showing that they are worthy of being here. So that's a lot of my roster mates right now.
Oh yeah. Now I think it's time for Patricia's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
Like a bizarre story, like behind the scenes or even in the match itself?
I mean, I was specifically saying outside of the ring, but if you got one inside the ring, that's fine too.
Okay. I guess I'll just stick with an outside the ring type of thing, and then maybe it will translate to inside the ring.
Fair enough.
But actually, the one that actually sticks with me the most, and funny enough, is the time when I still wasn't a wrestler, but I'm actually a part of the production team for Puso Wrestling. So even though I don't get to wrestle, I'm one of the people backstage running around with a headset on saying, "Oh, okay, the show's about to start. We have to make sure that all the people are already seated. We have to make sure that the audience is safe." Like I'm the person running around crazy with a headset and saying that, "Okay, this match is about to start. Make sure that the fighters are ready, and that when they leave, the ring is already ready for the next." Like, I'm not the head. We actually have Mira Guanyo for that. She's our head production, and she's also the boss. She's the lady who's running everything. Like, Puso Wrestling is run by a lot of strong women, but I am the assistant who's always doing like all these things backstage. So there was a time when we had like a 2-day event with a very very big musical festival, and it was something that we needed to prepare for, like, massively, because it was a really really big venue. So it was really funny because while they were bringing in the stuff, they messaged like the production team in the group. They said, "Hey, at this time we're gonna be here. Come pass by if you wanna help." And I just said, "Okay, I'm gonna go help. I'm gonna go there since it's really new." And we ended up staying until 4 a.m.
Oh wow.
So, like, that gives you context of how much preparation we had to do to just be there and make sure the lights were working. It makes you realize in a way that there's a lot of magic involved in pro wrestling. There's a lot of glitz and glamour that people don't realize doesn't just come out of thin air. But at the same time, when I say that we stayed until 4 a.m., I don't mean that with any, like, how you say, disappointment. Like this is kind of twisted in a way, but I actually really have a lot of fun in these moments, because a lot of people might just see it as work, but I'm the type of person who enjoys production work. I enjoy collaborating with others. And with that in mind, we did eventually end up having a good fun time in the next 2 days that followed. And the thing you have to realize about Pinoy wrestling is we're everywhere. We might not be that famous yet with like the general community of the Philippines, but for example, if you go to a retro convention, you'll suddenly see us there. If you go to a music festival, you'll see us wrestling there. So we survive and we thrive in these micro niche communities that welcome us, and that's the thing that I really really enjoy. Like just to echo the words that you said, like bizarre adventures. We have bizarre adventures with conventions, with music festivals, with even just mat wrestling in different establishments, and in a way, like to just further connect that to in ring, that's when we have the cookie fun events happening. Like even in our live stream, those are still canon events, but there are a lot of crazy stuff happening there. I almost got disqualified for a match because I couldn't help myself. I got really mad and I brought like a slipper and I wanted to hit bahay ng liwanag. So, but thankfully I didn't get disqualified for that.
Alright, definitely a bizarre adventure. And it seems like just Pinoy wrestling in general is a bizarre adventure in itself.
Yes, definitely.
Kind of going back to your time, as an interviewer, was there anybody that kind of stuck out to you interviewing, or a memorable interview that you conducted?
To be honest, and I think I might get a lot of I get a lot of heat for this, but God, the Bid Ravenna, God Killer, the Bid Ravenna was so scary every time I interviewed him. Like, excuse me, there was a time when, like, I was interviewing him, and then every time I'd ask a question, he'd really just look at me like, "Did you really just ask me that?" Even though it was like a perfectly rational like question. Like I'd ask him, "Do you have any like master plan when you finally face?" I think it was versus Nigel San Jose at the time, and he just looked at me like. David Ravenna has this thing where he looks at you, and you would either fear like the way he looks at you, or you'd get really angry with it. And like as someone who was just new to the industry, I wasn't even a pro wrestler, I was really scared. And he's also kind of funny in a way, because after that interview he asked me, "Hey, how was this trip you had, because I saw that you posted it online." And then when I was about to answer him, he just said, "Oh, I don't actually really care about that," and he just walked away. Like, dang, like the Bid Ravenna, that hurts me here. But it's all good. It's all part of the job. Pro wrestlers are people who have a lot of strong personalities, I would say. So I didn't internalize that. But when I think about it, I just think, wow, never change the Bid Ravenna.
Going from being an interviewer to being interviewed, you was on a talk show called Jugo Live?
Yes, Jugo Live.
What was that experience like?
Oh, it was fun actually. Like if you listen to the interview itself, there was like funny sound bites being inserted by his tech man. Like every time I said something, there was a cute sound effect playing. But with that aside, I'm actually really grateful for that interview, because that was exactly before the Jun Capilos Jr. Battle Royale. So I would say that before then, I was just a Pinay wrestler who was going to fight in that match. But when Sir Jigo gave me that platform to talk about how I felt about the match, how I feel about finally fighting the guys that I interviewed before, in a way, like right now, it felt really empowering to be able to just talk about my feelings about that thing. Because let's face it, Pinoy wrestlers don't actually get a lot of coverage yet. Like Pinay wrestlers, there were times when we were interviewed for a month straight, like for Women's Month. But in general, there's still a lot of work to be done when it comes to, like, for example, media coverage, for us getting more exposure in the world of both the Philippines and in the international scene. So whenever I have moments where I can talk about Pinay wrestling, where I can talk about my upcoming matches, I really make sure that I grab the opportunity and run with it. Because Fabio might have mentioned already that our world is still so small, and we just hope to make it bigger. So that experience in itself was fulfilling, but as I mentioned, it was really fun because Sir Jigo asks a lot of cute, fun questions as well. So yeah.
Alright. Um, can you tell us about your love of Corby?
Sorry?
Corby, the Nintendo character?
Kirby!
Yes.
Yes, I love Kirby. I don't know how you found out about that. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I actually really love Kirby because Kirby is like so pink and he has the superpower where he just eats everything and he gets that superpower. And in a way, I'd like to have that in the ring. Wouldn't that be fun? Like, for example, I'm fighting Chelsea Marie and I just go home and then suddenly I can do perfect back bridges. That would be really fun. But I actually really appreciate that you brought that up because uh I'm kind of a homebody myself. Like I don't actually go out a lot, but whenever I have moments where I can just surf the web, I like to watch like cute fun videos. And Kirby's one of those things that I like to watch and absorb because I like feeling good, I like watching cat videos, I like watching Kirby, and I definitely really, really enjoy gaming like with my friends. So I'm yet to actually have my own console yet, but right now, just to throw it out there, I'm enjoying Roblox a lot. I'm playing a lot of Dress to Impress, so yeah, like that's how you can get to my heart. Just give me gaming stuff or talk about gaming stuff with me. So
Well, you're also a fan of The Sims as well, no?
yes, I love The Sims. I played it a lot when I was younger. There were times when I was like 8 years old and I was playing until 4 a.m. Don't, of course, to those watching, don't try that at home. Don't be like me. But I really love The Sims too. I'm not like those gamers who actually go sweaty and go competitive. Like props to them because as funny as this sounds, even though I'm a pro wrestler, I actually really struggle with internalizing competition. So whenever I play games, I'm more of a, oh hey, I'm gonna build my little world type of thing. So
Have you ever? What was the oddest or weirdest way one of your Sims died?
oh my gosh, sorry, this is kind of morbid, so I guess trigger warning. But there was a time when my sim, I don't know if it was like a bug in the game, but before I exited the game, I saved it that my sim was on the pool. She was like having a good time swimming. I was like, oh, this is fun. My sim family is doing their own thing. When I came back, right exactly when I clicked play, the Grim Reaper appeared, and I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no, okay, exit without saving. And then I did it again. I played the game, and every single time, like I swear to you, every single time the Grim Reaper appeared. So I was like, oh no, am I just forced to just let this be? I don't have any other saved parts of the game. So I think that was that exact moment when I didn't play anymore after like a few months. But like thinking about that now, that was really morbid. And like it's really funny that you asked that about me because uh, I don't know. I actually really appreciate that people keep these things in mind because you're the first person who has asked me about stuff like this, and like of course I enjoy like the serious questions about Pinay wrestling, but it's also really affirming that someone checks this stuff out. I think the reason why this is publicized is I mentioned it sometime in Not Gonna Lie answer or something like the NGL asked me anything thing. So thanks for asking about it.
Hey, I do my research here. Um, Now I think it's a good time for the colossal question. Let's say they're making a movie about you. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be
Okay.
the first three songs on your movie soundtrack?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Might sound corny for some people, but I really like "Nothing's Gonna Stop Us Now" by Starship, like the 80s song.
Okay.
And I also like a lot of Carly Rae Jepsen. So just put one of her songs there, I guess. And lastly, of course, you can't go wrong with it. Like just I either put like my theme song, like the Bubblegum. That's actually the official title of it, Bubblegum by Joey Roque, prod by Joey Roque. Or of course, the Puso Wrestling theme song, Alab ng Puso, which is the one that we always play in our shows. That's like also our official soundtrack whenever we have videos, for example. But other than like the technical answers, other than my theme song and Puso Wrestling's theme song, I would like my official soundtrack to be like fun, happy, and upbeat. Because I think that's who I am as a person. And you can't go wrong with girly pop music.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm seeing no difference between the character and the person in this moment.
Thank you. Though, like, I'm gonna let you in on a little secret. I don't know if a lot of people notice this, but I'm actually also a fan of the group Baby Metal from Japan.
Okay.
So, if maybe in the future I could have like something where they play their music like give me chocolate, that would be so cool too. But like at the end of the day, I can only dream. I'm yet to reach that level, but maybe years from now I'll look back and think, hey, I actually spoken out into the universe, so we'll see.
How if we've learned anything about pro wrestling, anything is possible in the world of pro wrestling.
That's true.
Alright. Now that we have the soundtrack down, everybody knows you get the soundtrack first, then you write the script, and then you go to casting. Who plays you? And you can't say yourself because you are obligated to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo.
Oh my gosh, you know what? If I'm gonna be very honest, if I was like, okay, let's think big. Let's go big. If my movie was going to become, for example, Hollywood levels, I mean, it's free to dream, right? I would like my main actress to be any Filipina actress right now in the industry, or maybe even like a newer but skillful actress in the future from the Philippine industry, because it will, like, with all due respect, of course, to the big Hollywood actresses, it wouldn't make sense if I myself am advocating for the Philippine industry in the pro wrestling world to be lifted, but not believe in the capabilities of our other artists in the other industries. So if I had a choice, and this is just me dreaming big, if I had a choice of having like a big blockbuster movie, I would like the actress to come from our own homegrown industries. So I don't know for sure who could play me. I don't actually know who I look like in the industry, but yeah, that's something that I would like to have, a homegrown Filipina actress starring as me in the big screen. So yeah.
Okay. Now that we have you casted, every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people significant to you and your story that would be in your movie, and who would play them?
Oh, this is such a touching question because now I'm thinking about everyone who has helped me. But of course, can I cheat a bit and say that the Super Friends count as a unit, or do they have to count as 2 people
They
already?
can count as one. There are no
Okay, so
there are no rules. I just limited to
okay,
3.
okay, then let's put the Super Friends as one. Okay, even though he kinda, he's kind of been silly in the past, but we can't deny that Isaiah Valencia, he's the second one, has had a significant impact on me as a person. He's been there for me like ever since we were just trainees. So, like I think it wouldn't be like fair if he's not part of like the people who I consider as my inner circle. And third, this is a really, really hard question, but maybe, who should I put in the third one? I don't know. Honestly, because I'm thinking right now, since it's a movie about a Pinay wrestler, you can't remove the Pinoy wrestling industry from that. And the one person who has made an impact on a lot of us in the Pinoy wrestling industry is definitely Coach Fabs. So, like when my story gets told on the big screen, the stories of other people will be told, because Pinoy wrestling itself is a web. It's a collection of everyone who has worked hard together. So if you're going to feature me, you're going to have to feature the people who have trained me, the people who have pushed me forward. And you really can't go wrong with including Fabio Makisig in your story, because he is the one who has trained everyone, and he is the one who has pushed everyone so far to this level. So I think those are the three people that I would write in the local industry into the story. So yeah.
Okay. And do we have actors to play these individuals?
I don't know. Oh my gosh. I'll just give you the archetypes if that's okay.
Fair enough.
I want the Super Friends to be played by a really, really good established comedic duo, but still, give justice to like their wrestling, their bravery. Unless of course we are the ones who are like the stuntmen. I wouldn't I wouldn't say no to that. And for Isaiah Valencia, like just give me someone who loves to rock. Because Isaiah, this is like an inner joke in the industry, but I'll say it here. He's a Caviteño, and people from Cavite are known, people from Cavite are known to be crazy. They're really, really headstrong individuals, and you can see that in Isaiah Valencia. So I want someone who's really headstrong and who knows how to rock in his position, in his role. And for Fabio Makisig, like this give me someone who's really strong, who has long hair, and can play someone who pressures you to doing good. That's that's Fabio Makisig right there. And of course, you can't forget, I want them to represent as well. So like, please get Filipino actors and actresses as much as possible.
All right. It's sounding like a great movie. A blockbuster to say the least. And you could pre-order the tickets now.
In the future, 10 years from now.
No, right now. We're taking pre-orders. On to a controversial subject. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
I am one of the people who support pineapple on pizza. Sue me. But I don't know. I know it's like a lifelong debate, but I like my pizza sweet a lot. A lot of the things I consume are sweet. So I'm sorry, James, if that's not the answer you were expecting, but pineapple on pizza is a yes.
All right, so we are pro pineapple on pizza.
Pro pineapple on pizza.
I don't care one way or the other, but as you probably know, some people agree and some people strongly disagree.
Yes, I've seen the debates on the internet, and like for something like pizza, people have a lot of strong opinions. That's what I've got to say about it.
What's your spirit Pokemon?
My favorite Pokemon.
Spirit Pokemon. So the one you identify the most as.
The thing is, a lot of people say that I look like Jigglypuff. But honestly, my favorite Pokemon is Ditto.
Okay.
He's so cute, like with his smiley face, and I don't know if this says something about me, but if I like Ditto and I like Kirby, and both of their powers involve like either consuming someone or like getting their superpower or looking like them. I really like that. Like, if I can get something like beneficial from someone, and of course without eating them, I'd feel bad. But if I can like absorb a superpower from someone and I could keep it for like a day or two, that's something I'd like to have. So that's why I like Ditto. like how I like Kirby.
Without consuming them, except for Chelsea Marie.
Well, like a lot of people don't like her, but I'm just gonna reiterate that I respect Chelsea. I hope she doesn't cheat anymore.
Weirdest question you'll be asked on a wrestling interview, hopefully. Would you ever consider wrestling a rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual physical rock.
Yes, I would consider wrestling a rock, but first, would a rock consider wrestling me? That's the question.
Well, I mean,
But also,
yes.
yes.
Oh, continue. I cut you off.
That's okay. What were you gonna ask?
I was gonna say this. This rock is world champion, so he takes all challengers.
Well, then, Mr. Non-Specific Rock. Well, if you accept all challenges, then I challenge you, Mr. Non-Specific Rock. And like as long as of course the Rock won't cheat, a Rock won't cheat, because fine, maybe there's a possibility of a Rock cheating, but where's the fun in that, right? So.
A run-in by scissors.
Sorry.
A run-in by scissors.
Yeah. running by scissors. Maybe. Like, is a Rock gonna give it to me, or am I gonna give it to it?
Well, I mean, just for context, there is a wrestler named Psycho Mike that indeed wrestled a Rock for over 15 minutes in a Tungsten Man match. That's an Iron Man match that lasts for 2 weeks.
Dang. Well, I guess like after like challenging a Rock, he could challenge anyone. Props to him. Like just to give context, I'm actually still learning more of like pro wrestling as a history, because as I mentioned before, I entered the pro wrestling industry with wide eyes. So whenever I learn stories about this, like the people who have done these things, I can't help but feel amazed. I still feel the same way I have when I first watched a Pinoy wrestling show, and it's you go person. That's the feeling I have.
Well, that's what they're doing in Canada, just so you know.
Okay, I'll check it out.
I could send it to you if you'd like.
Oh, sure. Just send it to me on our channel, on our direct messages.
Definitely. Alright, on a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Ooh, well, in 5 years, quite literally, I hope to still be wrestling, of course. Like, this is an industry with a lot of surprises, and not just like as an industry, even specifically to myself, anything could happen, because pro wrestling is of course dangerous if you're not well trained. But with that in mind, with like the context of me training consistently, me becoming someone who I'm proud of, I would like to, and just to throw it out into the world, I would like to also explore like other countries. Like, I'd also like to wrestle with other people. Of course, my main focus will always be the Philippine industry, but I'd like to come back to the industry and say, hey, these are the things I learned from the overseas, and I hope to also show them what Pinoy wrestling is. So that's one. And two, like, I know it's a bit cliche to keep talking about it again and again, but I want the Pinay wrestling industry, other than the Pinoy wrestling industry, to be a bigger household name in the Philippines. Because as a lot of people have mentioned, probably like the Pinoy wrestling industry isn't something that a lot of people still recognize. It's just the core fans, the people that we work with, and some people who see us online. That's how we garner like fans over time. But hopefully in 5 years, I hope you reach a point where we're just, hey, are you Pinay wrestler Patricia Ligaia? And I'd say, yes, that's me. Please come to our shows. And they'd say, yes, I already bought a ticket. That's the goal. That's definitely the goal. Because at the end of the day, it's such a big dream, especially in a country like the Philippines. But pro wrestling being a well-respected full-time job, sustainable, that's something that a lot of us have dreamed about even 10 years ago. And I hope that we like I don't know for sure if in 5 years we'll reach that goal, but I hope that we'll be way, way closer to that when that happens. So individually, I'd like to explore, I'd like to learn more, and I'd like to keep growing as a wrestler. But as an industry, I hope that in 5 years we'll be bigger and we'll be kinder to pro wrestlers themselves, because a lot of us have given so much to this, so much time. And I hope that by that time, they'd feel that all their hard work has paid off, not just me.
And what is a match that, if people didn't know who you were as a pro wrestler, you would show them one of your matches that shows you off as a pro wrestler and what you are about as a pro wrestler?
Ooh, okay. You know what? I would say that I want them to check out my DexCon Jam of the Joshis match against Robin Sane and Joey Rosas, where I teamed up with Monomoth from Setup. The reason why I choose that match and why I would show them that match is because that was the time of my life where I felt so much fire within me. Because not only was I really really angry at Robinson at the time because he was like questioning my abilities, I also felt that at that moment I was in a show that was centralizing Pinay wrestling itself. It was called Jam of the Joshis, and it was one of the biggest shows where Pinay wrestling was the main focus. And in that moment, I felt that I was both learning to become a better Pinay wrestler, but also showing that, hey, this is who I am, this is what I can do. And there's this also fun part about it, that I was fighting for the first time with someone from the international scene, like as a tag team partner, Monomoth from Setup Thailand. Because at that moment, I didn't actually have any international matches except the night before, because it was a 2-day event. So the night before, I had Graveyard Shift Manila, in which I actually fought Super P, and I fought alongside Jake De Leon against Dr. Gore from SPW in Singapore. But that was my first time, like the next day, working with someone as my tag team partner. So it was all these new things happening. It was all these new sounds and sights, because it was also such a big show. But ultimately, that's the match I would show them if I were to show who I am and what I can do, because it's also one of the matches which I am so proud of up to date. I felt that I really pushed myself, and that was also the first time that I did a second rope move. Like, I haven't actually done a lot of high flying moves till then. And when I did it for the first time, I felt that it was right. So I'm really proud of myself and that match in general.
Can we find that on YouTube?
Yes. You know what, James? I'll check it out. I'll see if it was posted already. Because DexCon is actually a company that's separate from Puso Wrestling, though we do work for them. And we are part of like this web of companies helping each other. I'll try to see if Jam of the Joshis is uploaded on YouTube, because the last time I heard they posted the link to the video on demand for sale. But if it is, or if in the future it pops out, I'll share it to you so you can check it out as well.
Perfect. And whether it's on now or later, I will put the link to it in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox, for anybody that hasn't seen it, wants to see it, wants to re-see it after this interview.
Okay, thank you, James.
Absolutely. And since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
Okay.
This is our speed round or bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Super B.
Worst wrestler.
Sorry?
Worst wrestler.
Worst wrestler?
Yes.
Aaron Guanag. Boo!
You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Who's my opponent? Shoot, Yappy from Ice Ribbon.
Hell yeah. If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
Entrance music? I want to cheat though. I have an entrance music in mind, but it's not used yet. Okay, you know what? If entrance music right now existing, I'll answer El Catiponeros. It's a bop.
Okay. Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
Fun.
We would have also accepted taste great on toast.
Sorry?
We would have also accepted taste great on toast.
Cute.
Squash. Vegetable or fruit?
Squash? Sorry? What's the question?
The food, squash. Is it a fruit or is it a vegetable?
It's a vegetable.
It is indeed a fruit.
It's a fruit?
It is a fruit.
Okay. I learned something new today.
It has seeds. Tomato logic.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay. I have been humbled today. Squash is a fruit.
New Japan wrestler Tai Chi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
As long as it's comfortable. You're the one wrestling. Just wear something that's comfortable. If it shows your butt, just make sure it's a PG. Just make sure it's not a PG show.
So to each their own, as long as it's a PG show.
To each their own, as long as your show allows butt cheeks.
Okay. And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
Actually, surprisingly, in the Philippines, no.
And that's the correct answer.
Sorry, what?
That is the correct answer.
Just to add context, when I'm in the supermarket, I'm an NTC, so I'm just thinking, okay, gotta get my cereal, gotta get my fruits. I don't actually talk to anyone.
Well, that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me.
Thank you as well, James. I really, really appreciate how fun this interview was. I actually really enjoyed answering your questions.
And the pleasure was all mine as well. Can you tell us once again where we can find you on social media and your merchandise?
Okay, so hi everyone. I am Patricia Ligaia. I am a Pinay wrestler from Puso Wrestling, and I am Pinay Wrestling Sweetheart. If you would like to find me in my social media accounts, you can search me up at Patricia Ligaia. It's spelled as Patricia and then Ligaia, Patricia Ligaia. And for my merch, I would like to add this to the interview, that you can actually check out the Nutcase on all social media accounts. That's our partner merchandise team in Puso Wrestling. So they release a lot of cool merch like stickers and prints that have my name and my face on it.
Do they ship internationally or just locally?
I'll check that out actually. I know that the Nutcase has connections already online internationally, but I'll also message you on Instagram if that's okay, and I'll let you know if they ship internationally right now.
Perfect. And you don't have to type it into your Google machine. All of the links to all her social media and merchandise will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. Simply click the link.
Yay.
A new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You have no excuse. Buy a damn shirt. Of course.
That's right.
Of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment, but on YouTube and Castbox. This was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. Join us next Tuesday and Wednesday for new incredible interviews, and follow the show at Wrestling with E, both on X, Dread, and Instagram. For information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more, follow me personally at JamesJ993. Alright, when I say Wrestling With, you say entertainment, okay?
Okay.
For our special guest, Patricia Ligaia, Calico Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling With
Entertainment!
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.